Welcome back to the Football Tragics. I'm your host, Aaron. I've got a full crew here with me, Tony, Morty, and Campo. How are we doing today, lads? Tonight, I should say.
It's been better after this morning's result, but yeah.
Well, we'll wait a bit. We're going to finish with that, Tony, so you get to hold your breath for a minute now. We're going to start with that Arsenal result. City 2-1 away at Arsenal. Highly controversial game. Who wants to take us away? I feel like Campo...
Don't have to.
Well, it's you two. We've done the post game.
Yes,
so it's you and Morty.
You guys did have a post game.
A last minute post game, organised 5 minutes before full time. So
well, there you go. All right, Morty, were you on it? Because I haven't listened to it myself. So
I was not on it. This is my first day back in a week. So, how do I explain this game without sounding like a salty Liverpool fan? Because this was
too late. You've already started.
This is it was shambolic. Like honestly, I'm not going to sit here and say Arsenal should have won the game, but a draw should have been probably the more fair result here. And some of the calls that were going, my lord, like
I don't know what both Tony and Campo have said because I haven't listened to it. I feel like this is the first time City's looked second best all season, especially that first half. Arsenal looked really good. Looking at the stats, obviously doesn't kind of represent that because they had 28% possession, but they looked really good for that first half, and that's the Arsenal, I suppose, that you've come to know, I suppose, in the past few years, the football they play, and they look really good, especially without Arteta at the helm for today. But yeah, City at the end of the day just came away with that result. I don't know what you guys said about the few penalties that should have been.
Pretty much Arsenal's pettiness is the reason they didn't win that game. They're good. They're a good team, but they always just niggle. And Gabriel, fair red card.
Yeah. I think obviously there was a few big talking points. Obviously, both penalties, the red card. I was on the fence with the first penalty. I thought it could have gone either way, depending on what did happen. Having watched it back, I actually don't think Arsenal's was a penalty. If anything, Odegaard stepped on Edison's ankle, so he slightly touched the ball, and if anything, I think the way keepers are protected, though, it's got to go the other way.
There's a few Arsenal fans who are saying that the City one shouldn't have been a penalty, right? I don't really understand that because I think it's a blatant penalty.
It's a clear pen.
They were saying it's consistency. It's a consistency thing because we see players go down and they say they were already on the way down, or I think was it the Tottenham game where he said he stopped in front of him against Liverpool. So they're saying who initiated contact, was he already on the way down? But it was a plain stupid. I think the ref did well, if I'm being completely honest. I think watching back, he got all three calls correct.
Well, I don't want to stay on this game for too long unless Morty has anything to add, because obviously you guys have already covered it. So if you haven't want to check that out, make sure you go check that out. The reaction's probably a lot better, a bit more fiery, I suppose, a bit more tempered. But City, they've benefited crazy this weekend. We'll get into other results a bit later, how they, I suppose, just moved further clear. But yeah, it's a massive win for them. 93rd minute winner. You can't beat it for a City fan, I suppose. Campo, then we'll get into you.
You can beat it. Win. A 96th minute winner. That does beat a 93rd. But I think Watford listened to the pod last week, and when I said they need to do whatever they can to get a point, and they tried that. They didn't attack the first half at all. I think they had one shot and wasn't on target. We had clear-cut chances. Again, me and Tony were discussing that if you grab each other on a set piece or a corner and you go down, it's never a penalty. Same thing happened. Eric Dyer got tackled by the legs. Ref didn't say penalty. Game went on. We're pressing, getting frustrated as the game wore on. And then another controversial call. Watford went through. Hugo and the Watford player. Could have been another penalty. But then Son in the 96th minute. Delicious cross in, and Sanchez taps it in for the win. So I'll take it.
So it just taps it in for the win.
Taps it in.
I mean, 96-minute winner. You, like you said, you can't beat it. But God, if you guys didn't get a result here, it would have been poor. Looking at those stats, 21 shots, 9 on target. Deserved win thoroughly. It puts you up now into 6th spot. A good chance to move into 4th with your couple games in hand over Arsenal and West Ham. Morty, what were your thoughts on this one?
But at the end of the 90 minutes, I guess it's a fair result. Tottenham should have won that game. They had all the chances. They had all the games, but again, just another game marred by some decisions. Arguably, it went the right way because Tottenham won the game as they should have. But decisions both sides again that you look at it and just go, what has happened? We started off so well. The VAR wasn't being used as much. We were all happy, and then all of a sudden, the past few weeks, there's call after call after call going, I don't know again. And we're all stuck in this position of just not knowing. We don't even know if games are on, let alone, and then we get to the games and we don't know what's happening. So just a few issues, but other than that, fair result.
Tony, thoughts?
I think Campo pretty much summed it up. That tackle on, was it Dyer, Campo? Is that who it was on? Who got tripped in the box? If that's not a penalty, another penalty shouldn't get blown this year because the guy grabs his shirt, sticks his leg in front of him, and pretty much throws him to the ground. So you can argue that the contact started outside the box, but if that's not a penalty, like I said, there shouldn't be another penalty. And luckily, Spurs got the result because I watched that first half after our post game, and if you would have told me there was two teams on the pitch, I wouldn't have believed you because every time I looked up, Tottenham had the ball and Tottenham were attacking or whipping in across. So we spoke about it before. These bottom teams have to pick the games they go for and the games they try and get that nil-or. And unfortunately, they missed out by that last kick, and Tottenham put themselves, let's say, arguably in the best position for top four now.
Well, Ranieri lives another day, I suppose, at the Watford helm for now. Will he be sacked before the end of the week? Probably not. I think he's got a couple of weeks left.
Conte stays undefeated, so it's always a brilliant day.
Yeah, good result for one London team, I suppose. Moving into another, West Ham's 3-2 away win over Palace. What were your thoughts on this one, Tony? West Ham, are they back now? 2 wins on the trot?
Yeah, I mean, Antonio's obviously starting to score again. He's getting involved. He's looking a lot better on the ball. I don't know if it's just he was tired with the constant cup games and obviously Europe, then backing up in the league. I think this break's done him well. Palace, it's a typical Palace game. They look so good for an X amount of time, and then they ended up coming away with a loss. So big win for West Ham, keeps him in that top 4 hunt. I think Moyes is doing a great job there, and I think they're just going to continue to rise now. I think they've got through that rough patch. They might lose a game here or there, but they're going to be in that top 4, 5, 6 by the end of the year.
Was that Manuel Lanzini's one amazing performance for the year, Campo?
Yeah. Yeah, he turned it up.
I mean, what a goal he scored. But do you think Palace look a lot worse for wear without Conor Gallagher playing? Morty, would you agree? Like, he's been an absolute standout for them this year, and obviously with this injury.
I wouldn't say they look bad, but they're missing one of their key players so far this year. They're looking up, going, "Oh, I usually go to here," and now they're going to find something else to do, and they just look like they're missing something. They don't need him, but like if maybe a bit more rotation through it would have been a bit better. But I mean, it was a great game, end to end. They're going for it, each team, so it's just good to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great result for West Ham at the end of the day, given that Spurs, I suppose, are creeping down their neck. Moving on to Brentford versus Aston Villa. Did this shock you, Tony, this result here, 2-1 to Brentford?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously thought Brentford were a team that, I guess, I don't want to say trouble with the middle teams because that's what Aston Villa are at the moment, but I thought they were a team that were going to pick the games they thought they could win, and I thought Villa, the way they've been playing football, were going to win this one quite clearly. But like I said, when they played City, Brentford at home are a different beast. They know how to defend. The fans get behind them. It's always a packed crowd, and arguably that's what got them ahead and got them the winner in this game.
I thought once Danny Ings opened the scoring for Villa that it was not game over, but that Villa would take this game and really run away with it. But yeah, like you said, Brentford make it hard for teams. They fought their way back in and then got it over the line as well. So it's a perfect result for them, much needed, because again, it puts them just above Villa at this point now and away from that relegation drop. Morty, what were your thoughts on the game?
This game's just showing flashbacks to the start of the season. Villa kind of back, just not knowing what to do, kind of falling behind and just losing track of it. Brentford just doing whatever it takes, and they kind of just getting back to what we saw for those first 10 weeks. They've been missing for a while, so yeah, good to see them show up again.
And Campo? Good result for Bees?
A brilliant result for Brentford, but I think this was Danny Ings' first game back for a while. And he had a glorious chance just before he scored his goal that it should have been 2-0 to Villa inside 14 minutes or whatever it is. So I guess a bit of rust on Aston Villa's end up top, I think cost them in the end, but take nothing away from Brentford. They deserve the win in the end.
Do you still need to give Stevie G a bit more time to get his players and whatnot? Do you think he's going to make a few transfers in the new window?
I don't reckon they'll have the funds to bring anyone in this window. Probably summer.
Yeah, so they'll be fine. They shouldn't obviously be anywhere near that relegation drop. I think he'll start to work some magic and get the team playing his football, I suppose.
I think they could go close to not winning another game and they'd still be safe. That's how bad that bottom 3 or 4 are going at the moment. So I don't think there are any threat. Either team are going to go down.
Thanks for the segue, Tony, because we're going to talk about one of those bottom teams now. It's Burnley's away loss to Leeds. Leeds, are they back? Are they going to finally got a result? Tony, I want to start with you because
it took 12 weeks. It took 12 weeks to say Daniel James is going to score a goal, but he finally did it. So it's off the hooters off my back. He's finally got the goal.
It's a 6-pointer for Leeds, yes?
It is a 6-pointer, especially obviously with that game in hand. It kind of evens it back up now where they know they won't fall closer to that relegation than what they were. So big result for Leeds. Burnley, it's a tough one. They've obviously got players out. They're still missing a bit of a strike force. They're still missing a few players, but it's just the team that took it to United the round before was not the team we saw come out against Leeds. And it's I'm not talking United up here because obviously we didn't have a good result this week, but it's as if teams lift when they play that United, that Chelsea, that Liverpool, that Spurs, and then they go across to a Leeds who's been shambolic for about 2.5 months and they go, oh, okay, we'll just play shit football and get bullied. But they bullied United for 60 minutes. So, I mean, like I said, I'll take the result. If I take the result if I'm a Leeds fan, but it's a lot of dark times still to come. I don't want to give them too much credit because it is Burnley, but, I mean, we scored 3 goals, and when was the last time we did that? So, they can't be too good.
Well, Leeds finally got a result playing the football that they love to do, which is just end-to-end and create as many chances as possible. Campo is 22 shots, 7 on target for him. It's a great result for Leeds, yeah?
Daniel James scoring the most Daniel James goal ever.
Hey, you leave him alone.
It was a fun game to watch. Maxwell Cornet is Burnley's best player by a mile. He doesn't deserve to be there. He deserves any other club in the Prem that's not in the bottom 3. Because the man is magical. So fair play to him being the only one that can do anything in that team. But yeah, Leeds deserve the win comfortably.
Well, it still blows my mind that he's even at that club. It just doesn't sound like a Burnley player, does he?
No. Anyone with flair doesn't deserve to be there.
Are you, Morty, do you think that this is obviously it's a great result for Leeds, but in terms of Burnley, they've got 2 games still on hand on Leeds. If they were to win both, they'd go only like a point or 2 behind them. It's a 6-pointer. It's poor result.
Yeah, you say they got 2 games at hand. It's pretty much 2 dead rubbers. Burnley don't want to play football. They want to play their bully, kick over the top bullshit. And Sean Dyche, mate, you're too busy in the media just coming and attacking everyone else's managers to worry about his own squad, who apparently can play every competition under the sun and not have to have a rest. So good on Leeds. Take it to them. Can't wait to see Burnley in Championship. They can go have their 20 games a season and piss off.
Burnley in the Championship finally, if it happens, or will he find a way? What about this team in the Championship? Possibly Everton. Can they go down? Another loss here. Calvert-Lewin's back. Missed a penalty. Brighton, they've jumped up well up on the table again. Tony, we'll start again with you. What's your thoughts on the Everton situation?
It's a tough one. We always say when teams get big players out and they come back, you need to give it a few weeks and see how they gel. Obviously, he did miss a penalty first game back, but Everton looked more like Everton this week in a loss than what they have for probably about 8 weeks. So I think get him fit, keep him fit. They keep playing this style of football, and I don't see him having too much trouble. I don't see him going down. I think they've got too much talent in that team. Whether they gel or not might determine how close it comes, but I don't think they're a team when you look at that, let's say bottom 6, a team that we think deserves to go down with the way they've played through those injuries.
Yeah, like you said, they've still got a couple out still. Couple player of the weeks from this game. So, Tony, you gave it to Anthony Gordon. Standout performance. Unfortunately, obviously, not the result he wanted. And then Campo, you gave it to McAllister. Both looking great players. Do you think that Anthony Gordon keeps his position when the likes of Richarlison's back and then McAllister? He's playing like Messi. He looks like Messi, but he's certainly playing like him right now as well.
I think McAllister's goal is probably that second goal of his was probably the goal of the round, in my opinion. But again, I think Richarlison comes straight back in. Although Anthony Gordon played well this week, it's his first week that he's stood out in. Where Richarlison, he's a match winner. He gets under players' skins. He wins games by himself.
You say Richarlison's a match winner. When was the last game he actually won?
Against Arsenal.
That has to get against Arsenal.
When he scored 3 hat-trick.
Well, he remembers it.
But yeah, Brighton, they're playing good football, exciting football. They got their players back. So just a wait and see to see where they finish now.
Yeah. Morty, pressure on Everton?
I don't really care. It'd be a great day to see him go down. All I can say. Actually, it'd probably be a bit of sadness as if our 3-6 points a year is just gone missing then. So. Yeah. All right,
well, we're going to move into arguably the game of the round, probably the most entertaining one. It's Chelsea 2, Liverpool 2. Morty, we'll start with you. What were your thoughts on this one? Absolute cracker of a game.
It was a great game. We'll give it that.
Start with the first minute. Controversy.
There's no controversy
he won't see it as
there.
controversy.
It's a yellow.
Come on, man.
It's a yellow card. It's done. What else do you want me to say? Actually, before you say anything, Aaron, if you go watch back through all of Kane's shit that he's done, I will name about 5 other times that Kane should have been sent off for his elbows in the head when he's done it to other players too. Not to mention
if you're saying Kane should get sent off, so you're agreeing that Mane should have got sent off. Is what you're trying to compare him here. So if you're saying Kane, it's the exact same.
No, we're not. I didn't say anything like that. Don't put words in my mouth. We get to your game next.
Oh, we're getting fiery.
Mane, he's on the pitch. There's no way he's getting sent off for that. He's absolutely blown way out of proportion. His eyes don't even miss the ball. It's not like he's looking at the player, then turns around to find the ball. He hasn't even registered the players there. So,
can you tell me that when this went to VAR, were you worried? Surely you were worried, thinking this could definitely be a red, because a lot of refs will give it.
Well, no, because we can't have that much bad luck in a season, surely.
It's okay, that's the luck. Look, I agree with you. I don't think it's red, but I can see if it was given, and I wouldn't complain being a Chelsea fan. But if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be worried that it was going to get given, and I'd be very relieved that it wasn't.
I like to see any of you try and jump without putting your arms up in that same position. It's not like he's going elbow first.
I jump like this. I don't jump like that. But that's a different story.
Yeah, but you're about 3 foot nothing, and you have to jump to 6 foot.
I
don't know anyone that jumps.
Morty, let's continue that first half. Talk to us about it. It was probably the half of the league so far this year. Like, it was end to end.
We both came out firing. We all had our chances. Liverpool took them, and then Chelsea took them. So it just happened. I mean, great finishes. Mane puts it away. Salah. Then, Kovacic. Blake only plays 2 games a year, and apparently it's against Liverpool. And he always
2 games a year. He's probably our first MRT cheat when he's fit. He's just come back from injury.
I reckon I've heard you say that about 6 different players, Aaron. At least this year, 6 different players have been the first name on the team sheet.
Well, I mean,
if COVID hits Chelsea any harder, they might have to actually play their bench.
No, but I think Kovacic has had a great year. Last year he was fantastic as well, and this is probably the one part of his game he doesn't do enough of, which is score goals.
No, I agree. He's a great player, but he's rotating these midfielders like nothing. I mean, Kante is your first team on the team sheet. That's
not as much nowadays. Kante can't even stay fit now. He's played 2 90-minute performances all year.
Yeah, but he's done everything else.
Yeah, but I
everything else.
This is our strongest midfield. I think Kovacic and Kante, it seems to work so well. I love Jorginho.
Jorginho?
No, I love Jorginho. I think he's a great player as well. But I think if both Kovacic and Kante are fit, you've got to start them. Just the way I think a win percentage with Kovacic in it is like 70% or something, then without it's like 40%. So it just shows the impact they have. But yeah, anything else you want to add towards the game before we get the other boys' opinions?
Look, Henderson, I'll say it again. The bloke, he's a liability. Like, I love blowing up about him, but he doesn't even think to clear it. He's trying to play a short little pass to Trent when they're on the back foot. Their defensive line is already high enough. Why is he not just clearing it? He's the captain of the squad. Just put it out, reset, and go on. What's he doing there? Like, Tony, are you gonna teach your team to be playing like that?
I mean, we could talk about both teams because United are rivaling my team at the moment in how they're playing football. So yeah, get rid of it. That's plan one. He just annoys me with some of the stuff he does. He's not our best holding midfielder. He's not our best box-to-box midfielder. He's not the best at anything in the midfielder, and he's not the best all-rounder. Like, I don't know. Like Milner, I'd still rather have Milner in over him. And the bloke's 37, 38.
We've seen some good performances. I've got a couple of thoughts before we get to Tony and Campo. I suppose we went 1-0 down, went 2-0 down. I just couldn't believe it because we didn't deserve to at all. And then I'm thinking, here we go. It's one of these games again. It seems to happen against you guys that we do concede a pretty early-ish goal. And I just think, we're going to claw our way back into the game. And then that fight back to make it 2-2 before the half just shows, I suppose, the resilience that we've been lacking. I suppose the big talking point, which I want to hear from you guys about, is the Lukaku situation. Dropped before the game. Is it the right decision? I think so, yes, to take away from the team. But a 2-2 draw here, it's a fair result, given the way the game was going, pretty even stats. I think the main winner from this, and you'll all agree, is City. They've got a 10-point lead now on Chelsea. They've run away with the title. Only a few weeks ago, we were saying that this is probably the closest title race we'll have in a number of years, and now look at it. So City looks like they've wrapped up the league. Tony, we'll start with you then. What were your thoughts on the game?
I think I'll talk more about the Lukaku because I think you guys summed the game up perfectly. As a neutral, it was probably one of the most entertaining games we've seen in a while, especially that first half. Both teams had their chances to win. Neither took it, and advantage City. That's as much as you need to say about that game. There's always going to be fiery contests when these two teams play, but I'll move on to that Lukaku thing, and I think Tuchel's done the best thing possible that you can do. You've ruled him out of this game. There's a bit of drama going on. They've had that meeting, whatever, but he's pretty much come out and said he's not done at the club. If he wants to earn his spot, he can show us through that commitment. He can show us by giving 100%, and he has a spot in the team. So I think he's handled it perfectly. It's a tough one to mend, especially if he keeps getting dropped for a few games now until he gets his attitude back, because we saw what he did at United when he wanted that transfer. His attitude changed. His play on the ball changed. He got the transfer. He lit it up. He said he was going to stay at Inter. He was loyal to Inter. The fans have now turned on him. So what's that welcome going to be like? The CEO's come out and had a dig and said the only difference between Lukaku and Zeko is the price tag that they paid for both. So it's kind of a 50-50, but I don't think he's done at Chelsea. I think he'll stay at Chelsea, but I'm loving it as a neutral, waiting to see how this unfolds.
Well, they're saying that he's going to be straight back in the team sheet against Spurs in the Cup. Campo, what's your thoughts on that then? Should he be straight back in, or are you nervous with Lukaku coming in? Or
I don't really care about the League Cup, to be honest.
You started already.
I've never cared about the League Cup. It's a piss cup, in my opinion.
You need to start caring about something. You got no trophies.
There's only two cups that matter: FA Cup and the League.
And the Addy Cup.
What about Champions League? Does it not matter?
I'm not in it. I don't care.
They don't do that.
They don't know what it is, mate. Conference League.
But I think Lukaku, if he plays in that game, Chelsea win. Although Tuchel made the right decision in dropping him, if they played him, I reckon they win, because Lukaku isn't missing the chances that Pulisic missed. 2 minutes in or whatever, like 5 minutes in, when Trent had a mare and slid in Pulisic, the difference in that was goalkeeping. Kelleher stood up for Liverpool that game, and Chelsea's errors at the back, Chalobah and Alonso both made mistakes, and cost both Liverpool goals. They're my talking points from the games. I think if Alisson plays, Chelsea win, because I think Kelleher was phenomenal that game. But yeah, they're just my takes, and I think it was a good game, and it gets us closer to Chelsea in the league as well.
Yeah, it was definitely a keeper masterclass from both Mendy and Kelleher. I don't think we'll have to see too much of Alonso soon. Hopefully, January transfer window is open, and we're looking at Luca Dean, and also a few other options. Apparently, wanted to recall Emerson, which is a good option. But I think, Alonso, he can't just do it all himself. But I love the guy, and I think he's a great player going forward. But we need options. He can't play every single game, that's for sure. And Ben Chilwell's probably been one of our biggest outs this season. It's clear how strong we were with him at the beginning there. Tony, we're going to move into the final game of the round. It's your boys.
Can I just say something about Lukaku?
Yeah, of course.
Where does he go from there? I mean, Tuchel can't come out and say, he's done at the club or something, because you've just paid 100 mil for him. You ain't get that money back.
Well, Tuchel said he can earn his way back.
Yeah.
Tuchel said if he comes back, he's fine.
Yeah,
he needs to perform. He needs to perform and probably apologise to the fans. I think he needs to come out with a statement sooner rather than later, kind of righting his wrongs, I suppose, as much as he can. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people have said, the fans will always support the club over the player. So, no player is bigger than the club. So he needs to perform. He needs to score goals and give the fans a reason to want to put their trust, I suppose, back in him.
I don't know. He went pretty far. It wasn't your average. It wasn't your average. Just I'm not happy. I'm not in best form. He was having a go right through.
It was a weird one. It was a weird one because one day you're seeing all this stuff, and the next day it's even more's coming out, and you're just thinking, "Geez, when's it going to end?"
I think something's obviously broken down from Lukaku's camp in that talks, not from Tuchel, because if I'm Tuchel and Lukaku's happy to be there, I'm putting him there as a sub I'm not going to use, but I'm putting him on that team sheet to kind of throw smoke and shadows everywhere, where to not name him at all, something's broken down in those conversations. So I'm not saying he's going in January.
No, I think him not playing him that game itself was I'm the manager. Yeah. The club is bigger than you. You're not going to play this game. It's a disciplinary issue. It's the same thing with Aubameyang, I suppose, when Arteta had to make the decision to drop him. I think he was never going to play this game. I think if he did, that's why I said he has too much influence on the team.
Put him on the bench. Don't play him.
Yeah, but then you just get in the team sheet it's one of those ones, I don't know.
Yep. But make him sit there for 90 minutes on the side of the sideline.
Make him sit there, make him watch.
But make him not even travel with the team.
Get him to warm up a few times. It's more funny.
It's more insulting for him to not travel with the team at all. Be left out.
Probably when he got a tattoo in Barcelona with Aubameyang instead of traveling with the team. He's laughing.
All right, Tony, talk to us.
No, I'm going to go last. I'm going to let Campbell Morty go first. I'm going to wrap it up with my Finn, so you guys can go first. One of his take over, and then I'll give my funeral words at the moment.
That first half from United was just diabolical. 1 week Mick Sauce is the best player on that pitch, and this week he was utter shit. Playing Matic and Mick Sauce there, Fred does a better job that game. Or Donny. There's Ragnick for some reason isn't using the full...
Donny's gone. Let's be honest. Donny's gone.
Yeah, no, but he's not using the full squad. He won't change a winning squad. Just poor managerial decisions from him, I think. Fair enough, he played Phil Jones, who had a brilliant game, but he was the reason why they lost in the end. It was his mistake.
Relax. Leave Phil Jones alone. He's allowed to make a mistake. Maguire makes 10 a week. All right?
Fair enough, he made a mistake. He should be there next week, though. But... Wolves fairly won. It was a fair decision. They won. They deserved it. And suck a dick.
Morty, can you top that?
As Campo said, McTominay doesn't function without Fred, and they kind of don't work single. Together, they kind of work. I wouldn't say that they're a perfect machine, but... yeah, United are in some trouble.
Hold up. Did you say he doesn't function without Fred?
Yeah.
He turned into Zinedine Zidane against. He turned into Zinedine Zidane versus Burnley, and Fred wasn't on the pitch. His best game, Leeds. Fred wasn't on the pitch for 60 minutes.
Burnley.
Yeah, but his best games when he plays his best football are when Fred aren't on the pitch and there's two attacking midfielders and not a Matic next to him.
Yeah, but either way, United are in a slump. As you said, you can say Van der Beek's on his way out, whatever, but give him something. Like, he's played. Phil Jones has now started more games this season than Van der Beek.
Yeah, but if you're selling Van der Beek and Van der Beek, I arguably say he's not there come the end of January, why would you play him? If you have to deal with this squad for the rest of the year, why would you play Van der Beek now and not give game time? Okay, different position, Phil Jones, but apparently Phil Jones has been one of the best defenders in training, so he's always going to get that position when there's only two centre backs travelling.
That's not hard to be the best defender in training, let's be real.
Well, there's only two of them training at the moment, so he's already in the top two. So
it's clear that Ralph's come in and realised that Donny, he doesn't rate him, and that's fine because new managers are always going to see a player they don't want to play. Some players can take the new manager in and go, yeah, this is our chance to prove ourselves, but yeah, he probably hasn't done it, so you can't blame him for not playing him.
That's now three managers though.
Hey,
there's three managers now that have come in and not played him.
But that's what I said ages ago, and you jumped at me.
Tony will argue, and I would probably agree with him. For every good game he has equal bad games. He can't get a run of games going. That's the issue with him.
That's because he doesn't get a run of games.
No, but when he performs well, he gets the next game, and then he doesn't back it up.
But you can't tell me any of these players have had runs of games that they've performed either. They've all just had
I'm not taking away from the rest of the squad because the rest of the squad has been very poor as well.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like the rest of the team has been performing without him. For every bad game he's played, the rest of the team has been shite too. Like, it's not fair on him either way. Because, Sancho's come in. I'm not going to say Sancho's been bad. I'm not going to say he's been great, but he's done no different to what Donny did when he came in. But Sancho's still
one of our best players for the last 6 games that we've played.
The issue is Sancho's position at the time was light because, Greenwood was he injured for a little bit, or he started well, and then Rashford was injured for however long. Donny's position wasn't light. You've got plenty of players there. Like, you're not going to drop Bruno for more than a game because if Donny doesn't play that well that second game, Bruno's straight back in. So,
I've had enough of yelling at Donny, but either way, Wolves did their job. They came here, they took it from him. Credit to Phil Jones, he did great for however many minutes it was, and then made the error. But at least he can look at it and be proud of himself. He cleaned up everyone else's errors to begin with, so can't really put it on him for that. Maguire probably would have conceded 4 this game. I'll leave it at that. De Gea saved him again from embarrassing scoreline, and don't know.
Well, I want to get Tony's thoughts, so I'm going to keep my little whatever short. Tony, I'm basically just going to ask you, Ralph, he's come in. The spirits, are they higher now? What is it like? Is it the same issues that Ole was having? Is it the players now? Do you have to now put the blame on the players or is Ralph just not this guy that everybody made him out to be?
I don't think anyone made him out to be a super coach that was going to come in and fix the problem. I think they said it obviously when Ole came in. They said it when Carrick took over. These players are going to throw these coaches under the bus if they don't feel like playing, and that's what we're seeing. And arguably, as much as he's a pain in the ass when he's on the pitch, he's lazy, his manager's an idiot, we're missing Pogba. And that's what we're missing in the midfield, because Pogba will come in and somehow do a back heel over the head flick pass that will somehow lead to a goal when everyone else is flat and he lifts everyone. Bruno loves to try it, but I think his pass completion, if it's above 70 at the moment, I'd be very shocked, because he tries all these little flick passes and he loses the ball. And then you've got players, like you said, Greenwood now. You've got Greenwood, Sancho, obviously Martial's on the way out, Rashford. Players are starting to, I guess you could say, lose their spirit because they're not playing week in, week out. Rashford's a player, when he's at his best, should be starting week in, week out. Greenwood should be starting week in, week out. Sancho's a player from Dortmund, how he played, should be starting week in, week out, but they're not. So players are going to start dropping their morale. They're going to, I don't want to say not work for the coach, because he's only been in there for a couple of weeks. There's obviously plans coming out that he's not going to be there at the end of the year. Still don't know who's going to come in, but whoever comes in, it's going to be a massive rebuild still to come, because I think the most important thing now is clearing house. You need to get rid of some of those toxic attitudes. You need to, as much as Pogba's a good player, use him this year, piss him off at the end of next year. If he's not going to sign that contract, it's been on the table since, May last year, I would have withdrawn it and said, see you later. I would have been trying to push him even if we got 50 million in January of this year. Again, that CDM, it's what we lack, that centre-back. Someone that can arguably partner Varane if he can stay fit, I think is what we're needing. I think Lindelof can do it, but again, who knows what's going on with that guy? He got COVID, had the chest problem, couldn't breathe. So
it's now a case of, it's not Harry Maguire and Varane are going to build this partnership. It's Varane's the man. Maguire's not good enough.
Well, I'd argue Lindelof's our best defender. Even over Varane at the moment, I'd argue Lindelof, when he's playing, he's our best centre back you've got. And I'd almost push for that Lindelof, Eric Bailly when he's back from the AFCON, because yes, he'll probably score 4 own goals for the remainder of the season, Mr. Eric. But the guy, I'm not going to say he's a Vidic, but the way he throws his body at the ball and will pretty much injure himself to stop a goal is what most of that backline is lacking. So, I mean, the result...
I did actually do a U-turn and I searched the Bruno Fernandes passing completion stats while you were talking. It's 77%. It's not great. That for a midfielder, 77% is terrible.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty
poor. Others who probably in the high 90s around the other clubs. I reckon even Jordan Henderson has a...
No, he's at 80%.
80%. Oh, still better, though.
It's better than Bruno.
So, Tony, thoughts on the game then, just before we wrap it up?
It's one of those games where you expect... No, I'm not shocked, if I'm being completely honest. I'm always going to back us to get a result, and I think we should have got a result based on the two team squads, but it doesn't shock me that we didn't win this game. We've been flat for a few weeks, and we've come away with a few results, obviously against Burnley. We drew against Newcastle, where arguably after Newcastle scored, we got the goal back, the game went dead. We went up 3-0 against Burnley, the game went dead. These players can't seem to string together a 90-minute performance. And again, what was it, the 84th, whatever? It was in the 80-something minute whenever we conceded. Like, again, a team, Phil Jones, played a great game, but couldn't put in a 90-minute performance. And arguably that's what cost us at the end. I don't know. It's a tough one, because I don't want to say I don't want to be in Europe next year, but it's a rebuild like the likes of AC Milan, what they did, where obviously theirs was a different reason, but they weren't in Europe. They built their team, and now they're competing. Obviously not in Europe, but in the league. And I don't know. I just don't know if we have the squad depth and attitude to compete. Like, we've got, Atletico Madrid in the cup. That's going to be a battering if we don't switch on. I don't even think Phil Jones is registered, so fingers crossed some of these centre-backs get fit. Yeah, credit to Wolves. I think, does that put them above us, or
3 points behind still?
3 points behind. So they closed the gap, and again, this is why it doesn't shock me, because it's not like Wolves are coming 19th. They're coming 8th. So,
but in saying that, you did draw with the team coming 19th.
Yeah, we did, but they're also the richest club in the world, so that's what I'm going with.
Good excuse. I'll allow that.
I'll pitch it to you guys actually before we jump off, because Baxter, obviously, whenever he asks me to pitch something, I do pitch it, because he's always on our comments. He's always on the pod when we need him. Take away I think any club in the world for $20 million will probably sign Ronaldo, even if they use him as a bench player. Have the stars at United, so I'm going to go to Greenwoods, the Brunos, the Rashfords to an extent, gotten worse since Ronaldo came in.
I think they have.
Can jump in.
I think they have, but it's their own fault, not Ronaldo's fault. Bruno's not been good enough, and I don't think you can put the blame on Ronaldo for Bruno not performing.
I can argue the Greenwood one. The Greenwood one, he was scoring a goal a game. Ronaldo came in, he got benched.
Yeah, and that's a tough one, because that's a hierarchy thing, isn't it? Ronaldo's not going to be benched when he's arguably one of the best players in the world still.
You could chuck Cavani in there. Cavani and Greenwood were linking up beautifully. Ronaldo comes in, Cavani looks terrible now.
But has Ronaldo been bad? Like he's still scoring goals.
I think he becomes that center of attention. So our play, I'm not attacking Ronaldo here. I think he's a great signing still. He's going to win us games. He's got us into the round of 16 in the Champions League, so you can't really complain. If it wasn't for him, we'd probably be sitting in the lower half of the table. But I think for Greenwood, this is going to stunt his development.
Yeah.
He's come into a team where he's scoring goals left, right, and center. It's going to stunt his development. You've then got a player like Jadon Sancho who wants to take players on, cut in and have that shot, who's looking for these crosses now where that's not always been his strong point. So I think other players, and whether that's just because it's Ronaldo, like, I mean, if Ronaldo told me to do something and cross the ball, I'm probably crossing the ball to Ronaldo, even if I'm 45 meters away from him. But is it Ronaldo's got too much pull over the team, or is it the manager just going, fucking get it in there and he'll score a goal? Just pop it in for 90 minutes and he'll probably... I mean, he almost did it today. He got the goal. He's just offside.
Campo, Morty, thoughts?
I was going to say the same thing. I don't think it's Bruno's fault. It's Rashford. I wouldn't say Rashford's fault, but it's not. Like, Greenwood is the only one that he stunted. Because, early season, I thought Greenwood was their best player. And you just see the likes in that, especially in that last-minute free kick at Ronaldo and Bruno standing over the free kick against Wolves. I thought that should have been Ronaldo that took that. So it's not like Bruno's not
Have you seen
trying.
Ronaldo's free kick stats?
Ronaldo hasn't had his free kick scored in 70 attempts.
I know, but
this is not 2005 or 6 Ronaldo.
But if that's Ronaldo's arrogance, he's still taking that. So you can say why it's not an issue.
I just think Ronaldo's the player in form over Bruno. So why isn't I just think Bruno's struggling, and that's his own fault. It's not Ronaldo's fault.
No.
If anything, Bruno should be getting better because he's got Ronaldo, who's his countryman. He scores goals. He needs to
Bruno doesn't perform in Portugal either when he's got Ronaldo in front of him. If you look at his stats when Ronaldo's out, Bruno performs better.
And is that Bruno wanting to be a big man in a small pond, like big fish in a small pond? Because when he first came to United, he was one of the only ones performing, and that's why he looks so good, because the others at times were not looking good. So is that Bruno's arrogance?
But I'd argue it is. I'm not going to sit here and say Ronaldo's ever a bad signing for any team, because any team would take him. But at some point, Ronaldo, you kind of got to hold him to go, you know what, we need to look for the next 5 years. Ronaldo, you're going to do a job for us, but we need to play the game that allows your Rashfords and your Sanchos and your Greenwoods to flourish as well. I mean, Ronaldo's kind of come in and gone, I play this, everyone play for me. Like, not play for me, but we're playing this style of football, and it doesn't suit everyone in that squad. And I think, it's a bit...
I mean, Juventus is a prime example too. Like, they dominated the league for 9 years, 10 years. They come in and their decline just kept going.
So why is Juventus now not playing well?
Well, they're picking back up. If you look at their last few games, they've won about 5 or 6 on the trot now. They're moving back up that table.
It stunts the growth of your youth coming through. Like, you look at the clubs, like, I'll use PSG for example. They don't produce any players, and they have struggled in Champions League. Yes, they walk the league every year, but it might even be the case for City as well. Like, they've got all these players, these big names, whose egos kind of get out of hand, and the team mentality kind of falls a bit. Like, I look at the likes of Greenwood, and I look at the likes of Dybala before Ronaldo got there at Juve, and Dybala during and Dybala after. I think it was, I read something today that his expected goals for a season cut in half once Ronaldo signed. He left, and it went up by an extra 10 goals a season. So
there's definitely
Ronaldo's he's not a bad signing. Like,
no.
Offer me him tomorrow and I'll sign him again. But I don't think he's what we needed.
I think at the end of the day, he's that game winner, and he has won you games on his own. But
the guy will probably make us into the Final Four of the Champions League because he loves scoring in the Champions League. But
yes,
maybe let's him.
You probably do play better as a team without him. But if you're talking just a goal scorer, he's one to have.
Yeah, it's a hard sell because he is Ronaldo at the end of the day, and he's done enough for that club. But
he's probably going to pay for our next 15 transfers. So
I know, but that's what I'm saying. You're going to need to make another 15 transfers for all the players you've now pissed off. Like, if I was Greenwood right now, he'd be sitting there fuming. Because
Greenwood's going
started,
nowhere. He's a red through and through.
You'd rather piss off a man
saying.
Greenwood or a Rashford though, because they're loyal to United. Because
those two are. But then, how many other players then want out, and then United continue through this cycle of going?
But Tony is a fan who said that he's not worried about Pogba leaving, for example, if Pogba wants out.
There's not many players, if you look at that squad, that you go through. Let's do it quickly. It's 45 minutes. We'll do it quickly in the next minute or so. Luke Shaw, if he goes, am I going to be upset? Not 100%. Lindelof, Maguire, Eric Bailly. If we can sign other defenders, are we upset they leave? No. Bissaka, he's a good defender. Matic, I wouldn't care if he left now. He's aging. Fred, I'll buy his plane ticket. He can go somewhere else. McTominay, I'd keep because he fights for the badge. As much as he has his off games, he fights for the badge, but he needs that other player with him, like a Kante in his prime to help him. Pogba, couldn't care if he leaves. Fernandes, I want him to stay. Greenwood, stay. Rashford, stay, but arguably he's playing like a bench player. And Sancho, stay.
What about Cavani?
Cavani, he's an aging striker. If we're going to look to the future and you're going to get rid of Ronaldo either this year or at the end of next year, you need to do the same thing for Cavani because Ronaldo is a better player. And if you're going to get rid of him, you get rid of your aging strikers. So,
can I ask you this? Right, it came out the other day of how much each club has spent, not net spending or whatever. United have spent $2 billion in the last 10 years, and you're talking about a squad rebuild now. What does that say about how the club's been run since Fergie left?
I think we said it all the time.
Do they need to start looking? Because Ronaldo is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to you keep signing these top players in the positions, but then you always find a way to not play them out of position. And you don't. I've said it a
million times. I don't think the Glazers actually watch a game of football. I don't think they know what's going on. If I'm being completely honest, obviously, Ed Woodward, he's stepping down. Brilliant. We've got someone coming in, and apparently now he's staying in a job for a bit longer. So that shows you the competency of that board and how they're signing players. And then, hopefully, Ralph fixes that when he steps in next year. Hopefully, he brings someone in that can help with transfers, and they start to clear that out because
and that just
that's when the rebuild starts.
Yeah, like you said,
keep players.
Morty, you've said they've spent $2 billion, but then Tony says, the Glazers don't care. But you look at City's owners, for example, he cares about that club, and that's why they've been so successful with the money they've spent.
But I'd argue that City are the outlier when it comes to spending money on all these players. How many other clubs have come through and they've worked through their youth and they're still holding on, they're doing wonders? City are kind of the only clubs that have just thrown money at a wall and won consistently. Chelsea
every team at one stage has done it. Every team at one stage has done that and won leagues. United have done it in the past and won leagues. Chelsea have done it and won leagues. Liverpool not to that extent, but have won leagues.
No, but they haven't done it back to back to back to back. City is the only team, I'd argue, in history to make it work to continue throwing money at a wall.
And they're arguably one of the best teams in history. So
if it works, what's the issue?
If you've got an endless amount of money and it can work,
they can't play a final. They've won one cup final. That's the only cup they win every year. They're out of it this year. You give me a Premier League.
You give me a Premier League for the next 5 years.
Obviously, they've not been good enough in the Champions League. That's night and day. But they've won how many of the last 5 Premier Leagues?
The last 5.
Four of the last 5. Premier League. So. It's successful.
It's not that they're not successful in the Champions League; they just can't win a final. But they're getting there, and it's just that step of winning. Spurs made a final, so it can't be too bad.
I can get a whole road, but
look,
United.
I just kept saying this so we can get away from United because it's making me depressed. So I'm happy to wrap it up.
We're gonna wrap it up because it's 49 minutes now, and it's late for us. Even though this will go up tomorrow. It's late. So, Campo, struggling to stay awake there.
I've zoned out.
Well, we're going to it's going to be a week off because there's no Premier League next weekend. So some teams, it might be a blessing for that. Maybe United, that'll benefit them. But we'll see you in however long, a week or so. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Peace.